Hi, everyone. It's Alex and Kim with riffonjobs.com. Good to see you guys again. We're here to talk about networking. Networking is becoming a bigger and bigger concern and issue, particularly in the environment that we are in today. So we're going to talk about networking. But first, let's ask the question, what is networking? And going to ask Kim to help us with that. Kim?
Sure. So when you think of networking, you think of your network. And what's your network? That's the people you know. So you have friends, you have family, you have coworkers. You may have former coworkers if you've been laid off. And that's your circle or your sphere or your network. So when you talk about networking, that's taking advantage using your circle of people to help you either find another job, advance in your current job, grow and develop, learn new skills, whatever it might be. That's your network, and that's what networking is.
Great. Thank you for that. So how do you actually go about working your network? What are the ways you go about it? What are the tools? Can you talk a little bit about that, Kim?
Sure. So I think everybody knows about LinkedIn, and I don't get any money for advertising LinkedIn, but it's probably the best tool available to people for networking. And what I mean is, if you are interested in a company, for example, the best thing to do is figure out who you know who works at that company. So you can go to the company page or you can go to a job posting for that company and it will show who you know who works there. So it's the best way to find people, or you just, when you're working or not working, you connect with people you know through LinkedIn. And then they help you to grow your network because then you can connect to other people who they know by saying, "Hey, Alex, I see that you're connected with Bob. Could you do an introduction for me?" Then you introduce me, and now I connect to Bob, and now Bob is part of my network.
That's great.
So,
Well, now that we have a better understanding about networking, Kim, maybe you could tell us a story about how you went about networking to find a job in the past.
okay. So the story that comes to my mind is not a story where I went out and tried to network. It was where someone else reached out to me to network. But in the end, it helped me. So here's the example. I was working for a very large healthcare organization that I'm sure you're familiar with, and many out there maybe. And it was a popular place to work. People wanted to work for this company. And through either one of my former employers or the college that I went to, somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm really interested in this company. What can you tell me about it? I see that you work there." So this was someone I didn't really know. We just had happened to work for a same prior employer. So he said, "Can I have 15 minutes of your time to pick your brain?" I said, "Sure." And I made 20 minutes and I followed rules that I've always had, which are never badmouth your current employer, always speak positively, uh, provide an honest, realistic view. So I told him about the organization and working there, talked a little bit about myself and
Hmm.
my background, asked him about his background. And then I said, there is a job that I know of that I think you might be right for. Let me go ahead and forward your resume. And I ended up forwarding his resume. The hiring manager reached out to me and said, "Gosh, I was so impressed with him. He's very overqualified, but thank you so much for passing him along." And then, as it turns out, the position didn't come to fruition because the company decided not to bring someone in at that time for that role. But in the meantime, I had helped him. And a month or two later, he sent out a communication about his new job at a company that sounded very interesting to me. So I reached out and congratulated him first and foremost, and then said, "Hey, I would be interested in other opportunities. If you hear of anything, keep me in mind." So a month or two later, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I just heard about a job that has your name written all over it. Get me your resume as soon as you can." I immediately updated my resume, and resume should always be current. That's something everyone should know. Always have your resume current. And I did a quick update. I sent him my resume. Within 2 days, I had heard from the recruiter. And then after an extensive interview process, I ended up getting the job, and I, stayed there for 6 years, and it was a stepping stone to a variety of other opportunities that came along after that. So that's my story. Always be willing to help other people, pay it forward, and it will pay you back.
That's
That's my
great, Kim.
story.
Great story. Thank you for sharing it. And 80% of all jobs are found through networking. So it's important for you to work that network. So thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks.